which is a dramatic shift towards transparency. Thanks to many members of Congress, the issue is now being taken very seriously. We, the people, are finally hearing accounts in a credible setting from firsthand U.S. military personnel about highly advanced unknown craft that fly rings around our frontline fighter jets. With President Trump's unprecedented directive to release UAP files, we are seeing more and more of these type of craft captured on various government sensors, and I'm told this is just the beginning. One of the aspects to the phenomenon that's spoken about with less frequency are close encounters of the third kind. Reporting by witnesses of entities of non-human sentient beings connected to the craft. Don't take it from me, some of these reports come directly out of United States Air Force's own files. In fact, the very scientists who coined the phrase close encounters of the third kind investigated cases for the United States Air Force from 1947 to 1969, Dr. J. Allen Hynek. According to Hynek, it was cases like those that the United States Air Force desperately tried to keep secret, because it's one thing to try and confuse the public with weather balloons and swamp gas, and another entirely different when dealing with credible reports of non-human beings on the ground. I personally investigated one such case for over 16 years. The case occurred in Varginha, Brazil in 1996 and involves dozens of first-hand reports of UAP and direct contact with living, intelligent, non-human beings who, according to multiple Brazilian witnesses, were flown out of Brazil to the United States in January of 1996. Recently, the former Brazilian Ministry of Defense, Aldo Rebelo, confirmed the incident occurred and stated, if the U.S. disclosed information on this case, then we in Brazil could do the same. Mr. President, I'm respectfully requesting that you declassify and release all files related to this case and others like it. We, the people, have a right to know. Reality should not be classified. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And I just want to say, especially for the members standing behind us, as you know, this Congress, we were given permission to stand up the task force on declassification of federal secrets. Many of our colleagues did not believe in this up until really the videos started coming out. And had it not been for the efforts of Representative Burleson, Burchett, Moskowitz, and the countless of other members who have backed us in this fight, you probably wouldn't see some of these files and videos that are coming out today. But it doesn't just stop here. For some time, we've been pushing for there to be legislation, whether it be whistleblower protections or the UAP Disclosure Act, and it's been time and time again stonewalled by various intelligence agencies and staff within the House of Representatives, which is why we are grateful to the administration and their effort, as well as Stephen Miller's office, in pursuing the truth, something that we all should deserve transparency on. And so our next call to action will be that we are meeting with the White House. We are requesting that whistleblowers receive temporary immunity or permanent immunity, and if they are able to divulge whether it is locations of craft and or advanced technologies. As you know, this is something that we are all wanting to know the truth on. And again, without your cooperation, we wouldn't have been where we are at today. And so thank you. I'd like to now introduce Representative Eric Burleson.
Thank you all for being here today. I want to first begin by thanking everyone that's here, and I want to thank my colleagues behind me, this task force. We could not do this without the incredible leadership of Representative Luna and my colleagues on the team. We also wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the brave men and women who have come forward as whistleblowers, who have plowed that soil. We wouldn't be here without these individuals. And we also wouldn't be here celebrating the victories that we have were it not for President Trump. We finally have a leader that the American people can trust to challenge institutions that have grown far too comfortable operating without accountability. For decades, the American people have been treated like children, told that our government secrets that they don't get to know. Don't ask, don't expect answers, just trust the process. Well, the American people are done with that answer, and I'm done with that answer. Over the last 3 years, we have made more progress on this issue than at any point in modern history. We've held hearings. We've reviewed Russian and Brazilian records, including a formal FBI inquiry into the 96 Varginha incident, where witnesses alleged the Brazilian military captured non-human entities and craft and buried the truth. Today, Aldo Rebelo, who was the Ministry of Defense at the time, came forward and admitted that this event was true. We've sent targeted inquiries into MIT Lincoln Laboratories, MITRE, and every government agency that's been connected to UAP. We've worked with lawmakers across 4 continents. We've sought answers on cases like Matthew Sullivan, a would-be whistleblower whose tragic death deserves far more scrutiny than it has received. We've obtained video evidence, including the MQ-9 footage of a UAP incident off the coast of Yemen, delivered to my office through what can only be described as a Tom Clancy-style dead drop. Someone felt that they had, now think about this, someone felt they had to secretly hand information to an elected official, a member of Congress. We are no longer asking hypothetical questions anymore. Congress is requesting specific records and videos. These agencies and contractors know that we know that they exist, and we're going to get them released. We continue to receive credible claims of recovered craft and reverse engineering programs that may have operated for decades outside of any oversight. Those claims point to specific facilities, contractors, records, and people. Congress has a constitutional duty to follow them, and that duty does not vanish because someone stamped a document classified 30 years ago. It does not vanish because some bureaucrat says so. It does not vanish because a program has become so compartmentalized that even elected officials are expected to look the other way. The Constitution gave Congress oversight, authority for a reason. No elected bureaucrat has that authority. This information is not yours to keep. It belongs to the American people. They own it and they deserve the truth. The most important people in this story are the whistleblowers: David Grusch, Admiral Gallaudet, Dylan Borland, Jeff Nusatelli, and the many others who haven't been named yet. Their careers were upended. Their families were torn apart. They endured an avalanche of stress, all because they believed this information belongs to you, the American people, and they attempted to and tried to get it to you. Some will say that they should have used more proper channels. To hell with the safe way. The safe way protects the system. These are people who simply wanted the American people to see what they know, and they deserve protection. They deserve our respect, and they deserve a second chance. And we are at a different time. This is the age of disclosure. Mr. President, I'm asking you directly, waive the non-disclosure agreements that still bind these patriots. Grant immunity to anyone and everyone who has already come forward and everyone who will come forward. Open the door and let them speak. Because unless people know they will be protected, why would they come forward and step forward otherwise? It is time that we flip the script entirely as well. It has been said by people in positions that know that even presidents have been kept on a need-to-know basis, that Navy pilots, admirals, and generals describe programs to senior officials that commander-in-chiefs were never briefed on. Career bureaucrats who view presidents as temporary help, here today, gone tomorrow. That is not classification. That's a constitutional crisis. Transparency must be the default in the United States of America, and it should be required for those with knowledge to come forward, not wait for us to ask. There must be real penalties for officials who knowingly withhold information from Congress. Playing dumb is no longer acceptable. Hiding behind classification is no longer acceptable. Mr. President, you know that the agencies lie. You know that firsthand. They have lied to you. They have lied about you. They do not cooperate easily, and they never have. This is the moment. Use the authority that you have, Mr. President. The American people are behind you. And to everyone listening today in government, working for a contractor, retired, anywhere in the world, come to Congress. Come to these group of people. We will work with you. This is a worldwide call for action. And what you know, and help us please release every record, every file, and every piece of information. The time is now. Thank you. And with that, I'll yield to the general, Mr. Perry.
Just be brief. Be brief, be brilliant, be gone. Well, it's good to be with you all, and it's great to be with my colleagues and people that want transparency in America. And just like my good friend, Mr. Burleson, Representative Burleson said, this isn't the government's information. Unless there's some kind of national security element that's going to imperil our safety, this is our information. We should have it, every single bit of it, and you shouldn't be crazy, and you shouldn't have your reputation destroyed because you want to disclose. This is our government. This is our country. This is our information, and damn it, we demand it. God bless you.
Thank y'all. My name's Congressman Tim Burchett, and I know y'all got up this morning and said, "Dadgum, I hope I get to stand out in the heat and listen to some redneck talk and for too long." Well, I'll keep it short. I am a redneck, proudly, but it's a pleasure being here with you. I want to first salute the bravery of these folks standing back here on the back row for their guts. This country was not created by a bunch of meek pansies. It was people that took a stand, and these fellows took a stand, and thank y'all so much. I really appreciate that. I appreciate my colleagues in Congress. I even have to say it, I have to appreciate my friends in the media today. So there you go. I've crossed over the divide. But, you know, I talked to the president about this issue, and he kept his word to me. He kept his word, and I think that's important. But I think we also need to remember, too, when I'm sitting in a skiff and some little punk in a man bun tells me the president's on a need-to-know basis, folks, that ought to tell you right there what we're up against. We're up against corruption. We're up against a cover-up. This thing's been covered up at least since 1947. Dadgummit, the public deserves the right to know. It's your dadgum tax dollars. It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending all these millions and possibly billions of dollars on that these idiots tell us don't exist. And then yet we turn right around in the skip and then they tell us they do exist. This is a cover-up. You all know it. We know it. We demand the answers, and dadgummit, we're going to get them. Look, we got one or two bites at this apple. Please be careful about the false information that's coming out of Washington on all this stuff. Trust your gut. You know what's right. You know they exist. You know this has been a cover-up since before most of y'all been born. Thank y'all so much. Let's keep fighting for the truth. And thank you, Donald Trump, for keeping your word to me. And you all deserve to be in that skiff with us. We shouldn't be the gatekeepers, and none else of these jugheads up here should either. All right? Let's get at it. Thank y'all. And I don't care if he's across the aisle or not. He's one of the smartest guys I know in Congress, and he's one of my best friends. His name is Jared Moskowitz. Jared, come up here, brother.
All right, that'll be used in my primary. Wonderful.
Excuse me.
I
hate his guts.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I don't have a plastic Jesus.
Appreciate the correction for the record. Anyways, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here with my colleagues. And let me thank the men and women behind them, not just for their courage, but for their service to the country. And that's what's changed. I mean, look, this conversation started years ago with people like the late Harry Reid, and then Marco Rubio and Chuck Schumer, and now my colleagues and many others in the House. But one of the things that changed is the quality and the caliber of people who are coming forward, who have served our military, decorated people with the experience, airline pilots, and the technology in our hands, and the technology that our military has. That's what's changed. And what's also changed is we started asking questions, very simple questions. And this is what got me interested in the topic. We would ask questions, and they would then push back. And we would ask more questions, and the pushback became more significant. We would try to put language in an amendment, in a bill, and they would oppose it. They would secretly go to the chairman of committees to strip that language out. And that became clear to us that they were hiding something. And so, listen, I don't know what the full truth is, but I know we're being lied to. And the American people know that also. And so, look, the time for disclosure is now. Disclosure today, disclosure tomorrow. The American people have a right to know. We know about these advanced technology programs. We know they come out of Area 51. They did when we went to kill Osama bin Laden with an advanced technology helicopter that Congress never funded. There's trillions of dollars missing at the Pentagon. Where does that money go? And so it's time for the government to come forward. And what we need is we need your help. All of you here. I get asked this question by people in my community more than anything else. What does the government know and why aren't they telling us? The American people can handle it. They can handle it. I trust them. And it's time that we tell them the truth. Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah. My name is Leslie Kane. I'm one of the reporters who wrote the 2017 New York Times story that fundamentally changed the conversation about UAP. In the years that followed, members of Congress met with Navy pilots and received classified briefings. Some came to realize that the observed objects were highly unlikely to be American, Russian, or Chinese technology, but nobody would publicly confirm what they were. Then in 2023, the conversation changed again. Former intelligence official and whistleblower David Grusch met with members of Congress, providing them with detailed information about covert government programs that he said possessed craft of non-human origin. This had been hidden from congressional oversight for decades. I was privileged to have interviewed Mr. Grusch extensively before publishing his story with my colleague Ralph Blumenthal 3 years ago. 6 weeks after the story broke, Mr. Grusch testified under penalty of perjury in an open congressional hearing. While under oath, he spoke about an ultra-secret crash retrieval program and stated that some craft contained specimens or pilots, which he called non-human biologics. The potential existence of another living, intelligent, advanced species has more implications for humanity than the recovery of technological hardware. Now, the conversation needs to shift again, with more of a focus on biology and less on technology. Having served for decades on the staff of Congressional Intelligence and Defense Committees, Kirk McConnell, who is standing here today in the back, he was present in classified settings when highly credible sources briefed senators, including Marco Rubio, about recovered non-human bodies. Unlike legitimate national security concerns that require us to keep advanced technologies of non-human origin secret, that justification should not apply to biological evidence. Knowledge of the existence of another life form, studied and documented by qualified experts, should not be considered a threat to national security. By what authority can any institution withhold confirmation of what may be the most consequential scientific discovery in human history? Knowledge that we are not alone does not belong to any government or military. It belongs to all of humanity. Today, I call upon the President to prioritize the declassification and public release of any evidence concerning recovered advanced non-human biological entities. Thank you, and I turn this over now to David Grusch.
I'm tall. I'll try to enunciate. Good afternoon. I'm here today because my leadership on the disclosure issue is part of my continued service to the nation. I took an oath as an Air Force officer swearing allegiance to the principles and the framework of the U.S. Constitution. I took that oath seriously then, and I take that oath seriously now. And if this is one of my final duties of public service, I want it to be this: helping Congress and the President restore lawful accountability over activities and spending that should never have been placed beyond constitutional oversights, and to be transparent with the American people. There are a myriad of issues across multiple cultural, religious, and institutional spectrums. The topics here that we're discussing today go beyond life in the universe. There are serious homeland security and airspace safety issues. There are relevant counterintelligence and technology technology protection issues that must be taken in consideration. For decades, unknown objects have freely operated in restricted airspace in large metropolitan areas and critical infrastructure, and the agencies responsible for securing the homeland cannot adequately defend against it. This is a serious national security issue. In my official duties, I was exposed to human and signals intelligence information concerning foreign adversary, UAP crash retrieval, exploitation and study efforts, adversary views on U.S. legacy program reverse engineering efforts, and U.S. held audiovisual information related to crash retrieval matters, such as the recovered vehicles and the associated biological material. One must always be concerned about adversarial disinformation when you're getting foreign intelligence, but I was able to cross-verify this information internally to back up the foreign government assertions. Many of the president's team has been kept in the dark by high ego, politically appointed actors, both because of incompetence and malicious intent has subverted the president's order on this issue. Furthermore, some of this foreign intelligence has not been provided to Congress despite lawful requests to the Defense Intelligence Agency last summer, and also having formally been published across the IC and analyzed by such analytical centers such as NASIC. These records belong under congressional oversight, and I believe DIA should stop obstructing Chairwoman Luna's task force and provide those documents to Congress and enter it through mandatory declassification review so the American public can see some of the foreign intelligence I had access to. Secrecy around this issue did not appear overnight. Subsequent executive orders, Secretary of Defense memorandums, departmented security, basically nullified Congress's role with the judicial branch with oversight of this issue. Remember, classification exists to protect the nation. Executive Order 13526 discusses what can and cannot be classified. Embarrassment, hiding funds, criminal activity, and the basic information about scientific information in the universe is unlawful for it to be classified. And this is why whistleblower protections matter. Through my federal litigation ongoing with the Department of War, I learned that the Air Force worked with an external agency to seek an investigation of me for alleged unauthorized disclosures punishable under the Espionage Act after I testified in front of Congress in 2023, discussing the results of my congressionally directed investigation in the support of the first Trump administration. This should concern every member of Congress, regardless of party. To this day, I'm still fighting years of record withholding, administrative obstruction, and a prolonged effort to get a medical military retirement that I still am not in a retired status. This is also a real fraud, waste, and abuse issue. President Vance's task force is sharply focused on the issue of misuse of funds. The same accountability problem applies here. And during my investigation, I found slush funds to the tune of billions of dollars per annum for these activities. We cannot have one standard for the American people and another standard for the deep state that hide behind the veil of secrecy. President Trump has the authority to create an enduring legacy of government transparency, accountability consistent with national security protections. Disclosure should not depend on leaks. It should not depend on the public taking my word for it or anyone else's. American people deserve more than vague denials and selective releases of prior administrations, to include through troubled organizations such as ARA. I applaud the president's efforts and his promise to show true American leadership on this issue of massive worldwide interest, over 1 billion views on the File Drop website. So the time has come to stop asking the public to trust secret conclusions. Instead, provide an honest accounting of what it knows, what it's done, and what has been withheld. God bless America.
I think we have about 4 minutes before they call votes to open it up for a quick round of questions. So if you guys can just, let's start with Real America's Voice.
I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal bipedal type life to, you know, what I would consider like sentient plasmoid life, but there are several that the U.S. government is aware of. Okay. Yeah, I can't comment on the content of that program. I've discussed on my interview in Judicial Watch that was a National Security Council program, and the secrecy started in 1954 through an Eisenhower executive order that created that infrastructure. Yeah. Oh. Yep. Mhm. I think the sovereign contract between the citizenry and its government, I think the institutional rots that the lack of transparency in this issue is possibly going to cause an unattainable socioeconomic condition if the government is not transparent, akin to certain other. I don't want to say the Epstein files. That's a dirty word, but we could have that kind of scandal if we're not transparent on this issue. Mm-hmm. I would go watch James Fox's documentaries. I like the Disclosure is a great movie. That's a good primer. So, and I also, there is a declassified 1971 Australian formerly classified secret assessment that a couple years ago was put in the Australian National Archives. I encourage people to read page 7 through 16. And that was the nuclear branch chief of the Australian government discussing the US cover-up and the involvement of the CIA back in the 70s. And that's actually a little known document that is publicly available.
Is there anything that ties into what is happening here today with his testimony that never happened because he was denied 2 weeks, I guess, before?
That's an ongoing.
It's an ongoing federal investigation. Yeah.
They're leading up, but a lot of the stuff that started happening and picking up speed is just weird that it somewhat correlates to the disclosure efforts.
What was he coming in to testify?
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all, big tech right now is run by a bunch of elitist people who all happen to vote the same way and who all happen to live in huge cities on the West Coast. And so Result Hunter takes those elitist values and elitist sources.
Until the federal investigation is complete. Okay.
Yeah,
Joe.
So, for those that are maybe not so familiar, can you explain right now what the roadblocks are? What is preventing lawmakers and lawmakers from visiting locations that have been critical to reversing hearing?
David Burchett and
that the knowledge is there, but the ability to go and see them.
I'll take a stop at that. If Congress says we're going to go to Area 51, if Congress says we're going to go to Area 51, everybody says, go to Area 51, Burchett. All I'm going to get there is a good dadgum t-shirt, all right? The moving ban's already going to be there. The problem you have is that these things have been moved into private entities so that they don't have a FOIA. I could FOIA Ford Motor Company, get her, but doesn't mean they're going to do anything. That's why they moved it out of the federal governments, and that's part of the roadblocks. Other roadblocks we've seen, we tried to get a committee. We've had staff members try to block us when we first started this thing with that first hearing that Grusch said that there's biological entities. They tried to move it into remember that Russian balloon that flew over? They tried to move it into that. And what was it? Chinese, excuse me, they're all together. I don't care. No, I know they're not, but they tried to move it into that. We had staff members try to block us. Just the top level. We've been in a skiff before, and we had a member of Congress come in and just try to disrupt the meeting, try to disrupt Grusch, throw him all these trick questions, and he answered every dadgum one of them just right off the bat. He knocked it out of the park. So
if there's before we have to go, because this is the last question, we do have a meeting set up with the White House. The White House is going to play ball on this. So as Rep Burleson and Burchett has stated, they are following through on everything that we are sending them. So the next course of action and something that they are willing to entertain is if you are an intelligence official or have knowledge of locations of materials, and in doing our due diligence and following up the task force, they are considering, and I do believe that they are going to be providing immunity permanently, so that people can't be hit with a violation of the Espionage Act. So again, there's a lot of people that have a lot of information, but it's really, can we prove it, and what information can we then bring forward to the American people? So we are still relying on you guys.
wait a minute, let the guy he's had his hand up the whole time, ma'am. Go ahead. Right, there goes the bell.
Quite a few, several dozen. So that's an ongoing list. So can't give you an exact number because I didn't even have full access to that information. Several dozen. Yes. Yeah.
Bottom line, we got to go vote. Bottom line, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for the bravery of these individuals who came forward, Mr. Grusch, and all of the whistleblowers. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the political courage of my colleagues who took this issue from being a fringe issue to being something that everyone is talking about and is no longer a fringe issue. And we wouldn't be here if it weren't for this president who has taken a decades-long request and finally brought us into the age of disclosure. And so, and I want to say thank you to the press as well, to James and to Leslie, and to everyone who has helped cover this topic. We're here to fight for the American people, fight for the truth. And again, our last call to action is we want to challenge every foreign country, do what the United States is doing, see what we're doing here, and we want to see your country follow suit. And we want to see if any individuals have any information, do not be afraid to come to a member of Congress. We will protect you, and we will make sure that the truth is out there. Thank you.
It's shady. Y'all are the media. You figure it out. Of course, there's something going on. You had 14 rabbis, 14 preachers, 14 used car salesmen disappear. You'd be asking questions. There's something going on. What? Nothing to do with UFOs. I think he's just ill.
What's the biggest wow that you've seen?
Well, since you bear a striking resemblance to Steven Spielberg, I'm going to answer this. But Matthew McConaughey is going to play Tim Burchett in the Tim Burchett story, okay? I just want you to know that. I can't talk about it. That's the problem. I got to go. Thank y'all. Hey, tell your people to call their dadgum congressman, all right? We want disclosure. That's all you got to say, disclosure.
Thank you. Leslie, you doing? Yes.
How you doing? Yo, it's Augusta. I'm on live right now. So am I. We're doing it together. Let's go over here and say hello to you. Kristen, when you
Hey, so let's see if I can unmute that. There we go. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. So that was the UAP caucus. There was James Fox, who is a documentary filmmaker, and he came out with a movie about disclosure, and also covered the Virginia Brazilian incident as well. So Luna didn't say a whole lot, but Eric Burleson did say he was asking the president to waive the immunity for the people that want to come out and basically blow the whistle on what's been happening. Burchett mentioned how Representative Burchett from, I think he's Tennessee, he mentioned how this has been a cover-up happening for many, many years. And I can take that off since it's done. Yep, for many, many years. Oh, we got Abby. So I invited some of my Citizens for Disclosure volunteers to be part of this. And let me see if you're ready, Abby. Let me bring you up to the stage here. Hey, Abby from Minnesota. So what did you think of this this event? I was just kind of covering what each of them said. Moskowitz was saying it's time for the time for disclosure is now. Leslie Keene, who is the reporter of the New York Times article back in 2017 that kicked off kind of this new age of disclosure. She says that knowledge of another life form is not a national security issue, that she called on the president to prioritize NHI. Grusch said that there is a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse happening that there's slush funds out there that he's discovered, and they've been fighting. He's been having to fight for his medical military
Coverage.
medical military, that he's entitled to. So yeah, those were some of the highlights. But what did you think of this?
Yeah, I'm glad I
conference?
tuned in. I had it on my calendar. I was like ready to watch and be amazed. I wasn't amazed, so that's my own expectations that I need to adjust. I think what I'm just starting to wrap my mind around right now is that these events and these conversations that are happening more mainstream, more public, are not for me. They're not for people who are in the topic or who have been in the topic, because it's kind of like UAP 101. And really, UAP disclosure isn't about like proving everyone in the topic right. It's about bringing in everybody who thinks that it's not real or happening or true, calling them in and saying, hey guys, look at this. This is happening. We're outside. We have mics. These are MPs. These are, I saw in the background Peter Skafish back there. He runs the Soul Foundation.
Soul Foundation, yep.
Yeah.
Which is the academic kind of organization that's formed to represent academia when it comes to UFOs.
Yeah, and they're out of San Francisco, and they're a relatively new organization, relatively speaking. And so it's cool to see these, these threads starting to come together. But I was like, man, I'm not impressed. Nothing impresses me.
Well, I was hoping that he'd reveal some stuff because Jeremy Corbell was like, well, if the government doesn't release it, I'm going to release it.
Yeah.
And I think Eric Burleson also kind of threatened that. So my take on this whole press conference, it was really a call to the White House, to the president, to push the government to keep the disclosure happening, and that this is serious, and we're not fooling around. So I was surprised they didn't mention the aliens.gov website, which came out, and they mixed immigration with, ETs and all this. And it just, I was so pissed off when I saw that.
Yeah, aliens.gov feels partisan. I think because the task force is explicitly nonpartisan, and that's actually something that they really have going for themselves. To bring that in would be to isolate people who are trying to fund, DHS and ICE, and who I think it's too divisive. I agree with you. It's awful and like really gross. I live in Minneapolis, like that, that's not a joke here. I laugh, but it's like,
a lot of the ICE atrocities, I would call them, happen.
It's very serious. Yeah.
I mean, it's happening in several places in the country, but it really came to light in Minneapolis.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not surprised they didn't bring that up. They didn't say anything about the war.gov files, really. So I don't know. It felt like a very introductory presentation. I don't know. I don't know who the audience was. Maybe just like normal people.
I think that really it was the president. I think that was just their way to put pressure on the White House and the president. So, I thought it was in reaction to the aliens.gov, but it feels like they're really tiptoeing around the politics and, the ego of the president. And, whatever it takes to get disclosure out, if you have to massage the man's ego to make it happen, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because, whatever it takes, it's been almost 80 years. World UFO Day, which is, I think it's the 79th year of the Roswell incident on July 2nd coming up. And, people are tired of waiting. And, there is actually so much evidence amongst citizens, people who've had direct contact or people who've seen things. And it's real. And to get the government to do their part, that's what they're pressing for. So.
I mean, Tim Burchett also, there's no coincidence that this is happening on the Tuesday before the release of Spielberg's Disclosure Day. I mean, like it's very obviously planned, which is fine. You have to plan things. You can't just be totally mysterious. And Burchett even called out oh, that guy kind of looks like Spielberg. So it wasn't an advertisement, but it is definitely in coordination with and of.
For sure. So I was able to put up this ticker going across asking people to contact their Congress people about the UAP Transparency Pledge.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that's a Citizens for Disclosure and the New Paradigm Institute is putting out there. It's a transparency pledge that we're asking all of the representatives, all 400 and whatever of them in the House and the 100 in the Senate, plus all the candidates running for office. And we've all been active in working doing that, but people watching, they can actually go to this URL and it'll take you right to the NPI website where you can sign up, and it writes the whole letter, tells you who your representatives are and senators, and it's so easy to do. It'll take you less than 2 minutes. But putting that grassroots pressure on our Congress people, it really helps. So anyone want to do something, this is one thing to do. And if you're interested in becoming a citizen for disclosure, just go to the newparadigminstitute.org and you can also become one of us.
Yes.
And take up the good fight, for getting disclosure and transparency out in the world. So any other thoughts before we close?
I don't think so. Yeah, I just wanted to pop in and say thanks for hosting this. And I was watching along. And yeah, just acknowledge that it's happening. It's all happening.
Disclosure's happening drip by drip, little by little. And Disclosure Day movies happening this Friday. There's some early premieres happening on Thursday. I'm going to actually try to go to one of those. And then Sunday, starting this Sunday for the next 4 Sundays, Danny Sheehan, who is a constitutional lawyer and civil rights lawyer, who is also the president of the New Paradigm Institute, will be hosting 4 Q&As, Zoom Q&As, 3:00 in the afternoon Eastern time. And this will be a Zoom. So go to newparadigminstitute.org to sign up so you can get the link for the Zoom. There's a lot of concern over the ontological shock that may happen from what is revealed in the Disclosure Day movie. What's your sense of it? My sense is that they're going to be talking kind of about hybrids, right?
Well, what's interesting about this, particularly the press tour that he's doing right now, is explicitly saying, the quote is, this is a movie that people are considering science fiction that I do not consider it to be science fiction, which is insane to hear him say that. So hearing him say that, as the artist, as the creator, and as so obviously to me a keeper of this information and has been his entire career, I think we have to give that credence. I think we have to accept that might be true and that there are true facts in this movie. What facts are true? We don't know. So it's very much
saying everything is true. He's saying that it's all based on true facts. Everything in the movie is true. It's a fiction story, but it's based on reality. And what I found was interesting was that Steven Spielberg says he's not an experiencer.
Yeah.
See, he's like, I'm an ambassador for all of this, but I'm not an experiencer. He's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting because I'm not an experiencer either, but I'm a believer for sure and very interested in promoting the topic because of the scientific technology that can really make a huge impact on the world and our humanity.
Yeah.
For one part of it.
My hope from it is, and I would expect this from him, is to have the humanity of it all be the message and not fear mongering or some type of like advertisement for being scared that every other person you meet is a hybrid, like,
Right.
but to start the conversation about the fact that that's true and real and happening.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
one of
good.
the I'm thinking it's a fact. One of the things I've come across is that 1 to 5% of all humans have ET DNA. Have you heard that? That we all have 1 to 5%. So we're all hybrids, according to that.
Right.
Which is very interesting.
Well, we're
So-
here, period. So yeah, we made it this far. We have to. Totally.
All right. Well, I don't want to belabor this news conference that we covered here. I don't have any comments to share from our audience, but yeah, I want to thank you, Abby, for popping on and just giving us your thoughts on what you thought of this press conference. This replay is available, so hopefully more people will watch as the day goes on and get involved with Citizens for Disclosure.
Yes, do it. Get involved in your region, in your state. We want you. We need you. Please.
Yes. And we're all in this together, and this is a fun thing. To me, this is like humanity evolving. Like this is the next big step. After the 12th, we're going to be in a new world, right? It's
Yes,
something
we
that a lot of
will.
us have been waiting for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's a huge week. It's a huge week. And take care of yourselves, don't trip out. Don't stress out. It's okay. It's a lot of information.
Right. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
But reach out to New Paradigm. There, let me give put the link back up there. newparadigminstitute.org. This is where you sign up to become a Citizens for Disclosure, or to just join the news, get signed up for the newsletter so you know what's happening. But we really want the New Paradigm Institute and Citizens for Disclosure to be kind of a support group to help all of us process this information, that it's kind of beyond what we've been taught all these years.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Leslie.
Right. You're welcome. You take care,
You
and take
too.
care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Peace out.